Events in the nation's capital appear to be spinning out of control tonight.
House conservatives now say that there are enough Republican votes to shut down the government come Friday. KCO9 political reporter Dave Bryan joins us now with more on tonight's startling new developments that just happened. Dave?
Yeah, late-breaking developments that could make a big difference during the course of this week. When you factor in the House conservatives, many of whom say they want to shut down the federal government, and Democrats, some of whom are angry about not having a life preserver for DACA, so they say they may vote against the extending the budget for that reason. It appears tonight that the chances of a government shutdown are growing by the hour, spurred on by the bitter dispute over President Trump's language and a fiery hearing today in the Senate.
I did not hear that word used, no, sir.
Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen attended the meeting 5 days ago when President Trump was accused of using vulgar language to describe African countries and Haiti. But Nielsen, like some of the Republican lawmakers who were also in the room, claims she didn't hear it.
I don't dispute that the president was using tough language.
Senator Dick Durbin was also in the room during that meeting, and he says he remembers hearing the president's racially tinged words very clearly.
What was that strong language?
Let's see. Strong language, there was... apologies, I don't remember specific word. What I was struck with, frankly, as I'm sure you were as well, was just the general profanity that was used in the room by almost everyone.
Did you hear me use profanity?
No, sir. Neither did I.
Did you hear Senator Graham use profanity?
I did hear tough language from Senator Graham, yes, sir.
All of this came to a head at a Senate hearing on Tuesday. Senator Durbin clarifying that Senator Graham stood up to the president and criticized his language at the meeting, using that language to point that out.
And in defense of Senator Graham, his strong words repeated exactly the words used by the president, which you cannot remember.
Durbin pointing out how strange that the Homeland Security Secretary could remember Senator Graham using the vulgar word to confront the president on it, but couldn't remember the president using that word in the first place. Nielsen's explanation infuriated Democratic Senator Cory Booker, who confronted the Homeland Security Secretary with angry allegations.
When ignorance and bigotry is allied with power, it is a dangerous force in our country. Your silence and your amnesia is complicity.
I didn't...
excuse me, let me finish.
Happy to.
You don't remember. You can't remember the words of your commander-in-chief. I find that unacceptable.
All this, even though President Trump reiterated Tuesday that he doesn't care where immigrants come from.
I want them to come in from everywhere, everywhere.
The White House press secretary said charges that President Trump is a racist are absolutely untrue.
Look, I think that is an outrageous claim. And frankly, I think if the critics of the president were who he said he was, why did NBC give him a show for a decade on TV? Why did Chuck Schumer and all of his colleagues come and beg Donald Trump for money? I think it's just an outrageous and ludicrous excuse, and they need to get on board and start actually doing what they were elected to do.
The controversy has halted progress now on immigration legislation that focused on border security and DACA, the program that prevents young undocumented immigrants from being deported.
This has turned into a S show, and we need to get back to being a great country, where Democrats and Republicans have worked together to do something that we should have done years ago.
Senator Lindsay Graham charges the president was steered away from an immigration compromise by hardliners on his own staff, like Chief of Staff John Kelly and Senior Advisor Stephen Miller.
We cannot do this with people in charge at the White House who have an irrational view of how to fix immigration.
Now, Democrats are trying to add DACA protections into the budget deal, or many of them are threatening to vote against any extension for government funding this week.
Without finding some responsible compromise, we're going to see the federal government shut down this Friday.
Now, The Hill is reporting that if Republicans can find enough votes to pass a short-term government funding bill by Friday night, it would be the fourth stopgap funding measure since the start of the fiscal 2018 year on October 1st. The paper says GOP leaders are busy whipping up support for the measure and will bring to the floor that measure on Thursday if they have enough votes. The current stopgap expires on midnight Friday night. Lena, back to you.